Hey everyone, David Chen here. I want to tell you about Projector Life, and in particular, a projector that I think is awesome, the BenQ HT2050A. Before we begin, if you're new here, hello, I'm David. I generally talk about TV and film on this YouTube channel. If you enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get new videos in the future. I also want to mention that this will not be an incredibly detailed or technical review of the BenQ HT2050A. There's many of those already available online. All I want to do is communicate to you what my experience overall has been using this projector. All right, let's get into it. So, I recently gained access to some office space near my house, and I wanted to get a TV in there to watch TV and movies, but then I realized that there was a huge white wall that could theoretically be used for projecting. Now, I generally haven't been into projectors in the past for reasons I'm going to get into, but I thought, you know what? Let's take a flyer on this thing. There's a big white wall. Let's give it a shot. So I did a lot of research, and a lot of websites seem to say the same thing, which is that in terms of the price to quality ratio, the BenQ HT2050A cannot be beat. So I got the projector, I opened it up. It's pretty self-explanatory in terms of how to install it and use it. And I want to talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of this projector and whether I think you should get it in general. So let's start with what I liked, the advantages of the BenQ HT2050A. The image looks amazing. I mean, I don't know if you can tell from the footage, but it just looks super sharp, super bright, great contrast ratio. I mean, I've been chasing the home theater experience for a really long time now, and with this projector, I feel like I can get really, really close to it. A big, beautiful image that is just in my house on my wall. I really like it a lot, and it's really impressive. I actually made some Instagram stories of this projector, and I've been getting all these questions about like, whoa, what projector is that? And that's why I'm making this video, because I want to tell you more about it. The second thing I like about this projector is you can get a huge image using this thing. According to the manual, which I would recommend you look at, you can get an image of up to 180 inches in diagonal. That is huge. It is legit like an actual movie theater size screen. You do have to place the projector quite far away from the wall or the screen in order to achieve that image, but just being able to project an image of that size is really fun and amazing. I also like that the projector works on a white wall. Like, I have a fairly flat wall, fairly neutral white color, and it looks great. The projector also has a couple of other options for changing it to different color walls, and it can adjust the color depending, but really I think you want to use a white wall if possible, and I do think that's all you need if your wall is relatively flat. If your wall is very textured, you might see bumps and shadows and stuff like that. It won't look as good, but in my experience, just the white wall has been fantastic. This projector also has tons of options. Options to connect, options to adjust the image. You got 2 HDMI ports. You got VGA component. There's many of these things I don't even need. In terms of the options for the image itself, you can do keystoning, you can do lens shift, which is the ability to shift the image upwards, which can be useful and provide more flexibility. The keystoning is neat because you can put the projector kind of off axis at almost like 30, 40 degrees and still get like a regular looking image. Of course, the image will be smaller as a result, but I really appreciate the flexibility. So overall, in terms of where it counts the most, the BenQ HT2050A has got the goods. The image looks awesome, and you can really have an experience that feels like you're at the movies. But it's not all great, and there's a few things I don't like about the projector, and I'm gonna divide this into things I don't like about projectors in general, and things I don't like about the BenQ HT2050A specifically, all right? So let's talk about projector things in general. I mean, the reason I haven't done projectors in the past is because there are a few disadvantages. The biggest one is that the projector won't work very well if there's light inside the room. I mean, here is an example of just me turning on the lights in the room, and you can see the projector is basically worthless. That's not true of a television. So if you're in a room that has lots of lights you want to use or has windows where sun comes in, then it's going to be hard to use any projector, but especially a projector like the BenQ HT2050A. Another disadvantage of film projectors is many of them have a bulb that will burn out. Now, the BenQ HT2050A is a DLP projector, a digital light processing projector, and its bulb is rated to last around 3,500 hours, around 6,000 hours in this thing called eco mode. Now, I've done a lot of reading about eco mode online, and apparently it doesn't work very well. So I'm just going to assume that this is only going to last a few thousand hours. And I have this, you know, mild anxiety every time the projector's on, like, ooh, there's another hour with the projector, another hour of the projector being closer to death. And so one day the projector bulb will die. It will need to be replaced. You can get new projector bulbs for anywhere between like $150 to $250 online right now. But yeah, it is something that you're going to have to deal with in the future. One day, the bulb will eventually burn out and you will have to replace it. Now, the advantage of the BenQ HT2050A is that it does have a 3-year warranty, so that is helpful. But this is not like a TV where I generally find I can buy a TV and it will last for, 5-10 years. This may not last as long depending on how often you use it. One last disadvantage that I wanted to bring up with film projectors in general is that they often kick out a lot of noise and heat. Now, I have not had any issues with the noise of the BenQ HT2050A. I think it's very quiet when it's operating. But it can get a little bit hot, and if you are in a relatively hot environment or your room is poorly ventilated, you will start to feel it getting warm after a while, and that can be a disadvantage for using a projector at all. But that's just projectors in general. What are the main pain points of the BenQ HT2050A specifically? Well, here are a few of my thoughts on that. First of all, this is not a 4K projector. So if you are trying to play 4K material, it's not going to work. I'm watching a ton of 1080p stuff, and I think it looks great. You do get some occasional pixelation. You can kind of sense the low resolution sometimes, but I think the vast majority of people, if you're not pixel peeping, if you're not super into the highest fidelity image, you're going to have a great time watching the BenQ HT2050A. The second thing I'm not a fan of with this projector is the audio options. Now, there are a couple audio options if you want to get good audio with this projector. The first option is the projector itself has a 10-watt speaker on the back. And so that's pretty good. It's not a bad speaker. You can hear and understand everything. But there's a couple problems. First of all, it's a 10-watt speaker that's tiny, so it doesn't sound that great. And secondly, because it's positioned on the back of the projector, I guess it's intended to be used if you put the projector between yourself and the wall. So that means the size is going to be small. If you want a larger image size like I do, and you'll put the projector behind you, then the speaker's firing towards the back. It's not really a good option in that situation. So you also have the option of audio out, but the only audio out option is a 3.5mm jack. There's no optical out, there's no HDMI ARC, and so yeah, you gotta kind of hack together some options depending on what you're doing. I personally dug out my PlayStation 4 to use as a streaming device so that I could use the optical out to a soundbar that I already owned. But yeah, if you're looking for great audio with this thing, it's going to be a little bit tricky. On that note, it almost feels like there's too many features in this thing and yet not enough. Like I would have loved an audio out, I would have loved HDMI ARC out, but instead what we get is like 3D and like VGA in and stuff like that. I mean, it really does feel in general like this projector is a really old projector from a different era of tech that just happens to have an incredible image. But at the end of the day, I am a huge fan of this projector. It's just so fun to kick back after work and pull up something from my collection of streaming movies or watch something on a streaming service and just feel like I'm in my own private theater. If you are considering getting a projector and you have the space for it and you understand the constraints that I've outlined, I think it's very hard to get a better image at this price. I purchased it for $700, and it might be possible to get something that's like a little bit cheaper that maybe is about the same or a little bit better, but it's gonna be hard. There are better projectors out there that will have better sound, that will have better image, but they cost like 2 to 3 times as much money. And so in terms of bang for your buck, I think you can't really do better than the BenQ HT2050A. I love this thing, and I am going to use the hell out of it. And I'm also very nervous for when that bulb burns out. I'm probably going to get a replacement pretty soon just so I have it on hand. But I think this is a great device, would strongly recommend it. If you're considering this for yourself, I'd recommend you go to BenQ's website and check out their kind of projector simulator where you can figure out how big the image is depending on where you put it in the room. Super helpful. They also have a chart in the user manual for this device that I would recommend as well. Okay. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks so much for watching. I want to give a big shout out to all my patrons at patreon.com/DaveChen for supporting my work. Check out patreon.com/DaveChen for a bunch of exclusive content. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe to get more videos like this. Hit that bell icon to get notified. We'll see you in the next one.